What's up, everybody? This is Wong, and we're back with a banger. And this time, this is not going to be a gameplay video. This is not going to be just me talking about a video game, but I actually want to help you get better at fighting games. So I know a lot of times I get so many messages of how do I get better at fighting games? What do I need to do to get better at fighting games? So I decided to make kind of like a talk, a TED talk. I don't know if that's what it's called, real talk on how to get better at fighting games in 2023. So if you guys want to get better at fighting games, if you guys want to know how this can help you to get better at fighting games, or what kind of advice can I give, hit the like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell's notification, and let's all get good together. Right, so we'll start with like execution. So execution is very important. Execution in terms of like combos. Like when I tell people you need to practice your combos, when you first play a fighting game, and this is anybody, right? This is anybody, even me. When I first started playing fighting games, the one thing, right? The first thing that people will always do is button mash. So the first thing I need people to like do or like learn is how to stop button mashing. The reason why I mentioned button mashing, let's say you're in training mode, right? And you put the game into like training mode and you have your input data, and if you press like, let's say crouching medium kick fireball, right? Crouching medium kick, there only be one input. Like you press crouching medium kick once and the fireball, or circle forward and you press punch. A lot of times when people do like these like kind of like press this one button or simple combo or anything like that, why do people press the button multiple times? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times people press a button like they want to reassure themselves that the button is going to come out or not. But the thing is, if you press the button will come out. If you press the button 5 times, the button will not come out 5 times. It will come out 1 time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know that they are mashing. So if you just like look at your replays and add input and look at input data, you'll see that you'll think to yourself, why am I pressing this button multiple times? When you waste button presses, you are going to pretty much losing on like accuracy. Your accuracy is going to be lowered when you want to do a specific combos. So that's the first thing, is stop button mashing. The second thing for execution is basic understanding of how combos, and people don't understand the concept of canceling, right? Like crouching medium kick fireball. Crouching medium kick fireball is like the perfect example, like every single time. A lot of times people will say, look, I did crouching medium kick and the fireball came out, but they're not comboing. You're registering crouching medium kick and fireball as a 2-part process, but crouching medium kick fireball should be a 1-part process. If you can make that as a 1-part process where you're literally doing crouching medium kick, and while you're pressing the button crouching medium kick, your left hand will already start doing the motion to press the fire to do the Hadouken, to do the fireball, right? And then your right hand will go from crouching medium kick to press punch. If you can understand that you're not supposed to wait for your crouching medium kick or any other cancelable normal to retract and recover, and then you do the fireball. But a lot of times that's another thing that people have problems with, where they cannot cancel correctly. And combos is hard. Combos are definitely not easy concept, because like there's a lot of different definition of combos. There's like link combos and chain combos, right? Chain combos, obviously you can do like 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So it's pretty much a very fast pattern. Link combos are like, that's where I guess people are confused, because that's where link combos and cancels kind of mix and match. Because links, you actually do wait for your normals to retract back to press another button. So a lot of times people can do crouching medium punch as a 2-hit combo, but for some reason they can't do crouching medium punch, and then cancel that crouching medium punch into a fireball, because they're registering, oh, it should be wait, then wait into fireball. You can practice let's say you finally got through button mashing, understanding of how combos work and cancels work, and you're like, my combos are OD in training mode, but you can't pull them off in the match, right? You can't pull them off in a match. And the reason why you can't pull them off in a match is because your hand, it's not into muscle memory. You're used to doing these training mode combos, in training mode, right? And like against a dummy that's not moving. So what I do recommend is like when you practice like your this new B&B that you want to finally get into your game, you obviously want to do it against AI. You want to do this against the AI for sure, 1000%. And another thing you want to do when it comes to training mode, like trying to get your training mode combos into your muscle memory so you can use it in actual matches, is when you're playing your online game. Let's say you're playing ranked or casual match or whatever online match system that you're playing with that specific fighting game. Your goal for that is do not play to win, right? So do not play to win, because if you're playing to win, you're going to use your general strategy to try to win your match, right? And you don't want that, because obviously you win the match, but ultimately your goal, like your mission to try to get that training mode combo into your muscle memory is not gonna, you're not gonna prioritize that. You're gonna prioritize yourself winning. But because of that, your execution will not get better. Let's say you lost your match, you lost the online match, but you landed the combo 2 times within that match. That's a huge win. That's already a huge win. You should take that as a win already to help gain your execution, because you winning a match does not increase your execution. You landed the combos during a match, and even though you lost, that helps your execution goes up in general. But eventually it's going to be a point where you're not going to have to think about it. You won't have to think about it anymore, and you can land the training mode combos in actual matches, and then boom, there it is, right? So you want to make sure that you get it into your muscle memory, and you don't have to overthink it, right? If you don't overthink it, eventually when playing, that's when you successfully have increased your execution and got to the next level, right? And got your hands to like the next level of like accuracy, of able to like clutch out matches by doing optimal combos, tournament combos, and etc. And another thing is tournament combos. So this isn't one thing another people would like to flowchart on. And I would say the perfect example of this was actually at Capcom Cup, right? At Capcom Cup one year, Sako actually had the game-winning combo against Nemo in the I think first round of Capcom Cup finals, and he actually tried to do the optimal combo when he didn't have to, and because he tried to go for the optimal combo, he lost. And that's when you want to make sure that you have 2 different type of combos. You have your optimal combo, that your regular B&B, and then you have a tournament combo. And what I mean about tournament combo is it's easier and it's not optimal combo whatsoever, but it will get the job done. Like a lot of people just kind of like focus on just like, okay, if I just can land this one big ass optimal combo all the time, I should be good. Like this, let's say your optimal combo takes 70% life. The opponent has 40% life left, right? Why do you need to do an optimal combo that takes 70% when your opponent has 40% health left? And then there's an easier route where you can just kind of like finish everything way earlier and then cancel into a super that does 50%, right? A lot of times if you focus on that, there's so many times people just drop their optimal combos because they know they're about to win because of the nerves and the pressure. So like you want to make sure that you kind of like, help your mental stack by having a tournament combo on deck. So if let's say you're at a tournament and you're just dropping all the combos you were practicing because you're nervous, that's why you have a backup of a tournament combo, right? Have a easier cash out, so you don't have to worry about that stuff, right? So that's like the execution talk. And now the next one it's very vague. Footsies, but I'm going to use the word neutral. I will explain to you why I don't like the word footsies. Everyone uses the word footsies in some type of vague way. Oh, this person whiff punish. Footsies. Oh, he poked. Footsies. That was footsies right there. And I just hate that because it's like no one really knows the definition of footsies. So I'm gonna use the word neutral because I think neutral can be used in like other spaces outside of like fighting games. So I like neutral a lot. Some of the things you want to work on with neutral, the first most important part, I want you to imagine yourself in the training mode, in the grid. Let's say you're playing a match. You know how when people play online, they're gonna put themselves in the grid, right? And then you see the grid, you see the little lines in the stages. So the first thing in neutral that's really important to take in consideration when you're improving your neutral is stage control. And stage control, in this case, think of this as like reverse tug of war. So you know how in tug of war, your goal is to drag the opponent to your side of the area. It's supposed to be reverse, where you want to get your opponent to the corner, to their corner as fast as possible, right? If you're able to control your side of the screen and able to invade the other player's side of the screen, and you put them in the corner, that means you're having stage control, and your neutral in terms of stage control is superior, right? So that's one thing. Obviously there's going to be combos that really puts people in the corner carry. That's why corner carry is so important. Corner carry combos, just because like you pretty much get away from having to try to play neutral and try to win the stage control. So when you're able to control the stage like that, you really can dominate the ground game, because you have so much space to walk back and to like kind of like defend with. Let's say if your opponent decides to do something risky or tries to do something like unpredictable or random. Another thing where neutral is very important is range of normals, which is pretty much like I guess the word spacing. Your range of normal, having the knowledge of the range of normals and how to press them is super important. And this is where whiff punishing becomes a thing, right? This is where whiff punish becomes a thing, because if you know the range of normals of like this crouch medium kick, this standing heavy punch, this like really far range button right there, then you're able to whiff punish so easily. Like a lot of times when you're walking left to right like this, and people are in this like, okay, let me just press a button back because I think they're in my range, and then you know they're gonna press a button because they want to press a button, and you take a little step back and it just whiffs in front of their face, and then you just like smack them up. Boom, you just smack them up right there, right? Because that was that, and then you whiff punish. So whiff punish is a very strong tool when you master of like range of normals, how much range the specific normals has. That's why a lot of people complain about like Dalsim, right? Because Dalsim is a character. Obviously there's like kind of like characters that really don't follow these type of rules. Like 99% of the characters follow these rules, but except there's always that one character. Dalsim obviously does not need to worry about spacing as much compared to everybody else. But outside Dalsim, if you're able to, like, let's say you're fighting against Ryu and Ryu, classic battle, and you know Ryu's right here in this crouching state, and you have him in the corner, and you know he's gonna want to press a button to try to like get him out, that's the best time when you can actually whiff punish without having to use your reactions, right? And what I mean about that is that like whiff punishing uses a certain percentage of reaction, and then also a certain percentage of also assumption. Obviously there are players out there that just has godlike reactions from whiff punishing. Obviously perfect example would be like Punk is like amazing at whiff punishing off of just random normals out of nowhere and just converting off of it. But that doesn't mean that everybody else in the world has that natural skill of having great reactions. I'm sure a lot of people here know that they have bad or like not average or maybe average whiff punishing skills. So in order for you to increase your whiff punishing skill, you have to understand the range of normals. And when you understand the range of normals and you put your opponent in a very uncomfortable situation, that's pretty much the section where you use your assumption skills to whiff punish that specific normal, right? Because you're able to assume that this person is uncomfortable in this like situation near the corner, and they're going to press a button to try to get out in that situation. And that's where whiff punishing becomes a huge factor, and that's when everybody can become a whiff punish god. The closer you have them into the corner, the easier that whiff punish becomes a thing. So it's like you're like, think of it as like you're putting somebody in a box, right? In this like small box, right? When they're in crouch state, and you know they have no room to walk back. So because they have no room to walk back in their crouch state, they can't crouch back walk, right? They have to walk back, and they gotta defend their toes. You know your range of normals is perfect. Your range of normals for you offensively poking is there, because you know that you cannot whiff this normal because they're crouch blocking. So because of that, that's when you can also do offensive poking, right? When you're playing in this neutral war. And the more offensive poking that you're adding into this, the higher chance that the opponent will whiff a button because they're desperate to get out. right? They're going to try to defensively poke. A lot of times defensive pokes do not work in the corner. Defensive pokes usually only work when they have more room to walk back, because then you can kind of like force this offensive poking versus defensive poking war, right? But if they're in the corner, they're cooked. So that's kind of like the importance of neutral, but it's also the hardest to master, because execution, it just takes time. Like the more you practice, the more you'll get, right? And then neutral is just like, okay, this is actually how my game plan actually works. Once you master neutral, you know, like I said, execution is just a piece of cake, because it's like you're pretty much assuming and baiting the person, and then you're able to kind of like predict a lot of situations that happen. And then that's going to be the next thing we go into, which is called mind games. This is where we talk about you test your opponent knowledge to gain information. This is why tournaments are 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5. That's why people fight for it, because they want to gain information on the player so they don't get random out, because you want to test your opponent's knowledge. The more you can test your opponent's knowledge of in the game, based off like character frame data, based off if they know like this is a bad matchup, based if they know like if this is plus or minus, based off what you can take advantage of, that's how you have a higher chance of winning in the mind game war, right? That's also how you're going to be able to read someone and be able to tell the future and predict. For example, a lot of times when a new fighting game comes out, people don't know what is plus on block, when it's my turn, when it's negative, when should I be able to press a button. So you always want to take advantage of that. Like when you play in a tournament, don't think that this player is godlike. The only time you can think this player is godlike is if you actually had an opportunity to fight them before. But like if it's my first time, if you're fighting me, for example, and it's your first time fighting me, a lot of times people just have like this like thing where it's like, it's Justin Wong, he knows all, right? He knows all, so I can't do lots of things. But the thing is, how do you know I know that information, right? So you want to test their knowledge. You want to test if I know the frame data. You want to test if I know if I should press a button here or not, right? So a lot of times I would do, let's say for Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 has a perfect example of like plus frames, -2 and everything like that, or even Guilty Gear Strive, right? If I'm playing Mei and I'm doing heavy / dolphin and then they press a button afterwards, clearly they don't have the knowledge of that. So I'm able to abuse that. Like literally I can understand how much a person plays by the first thing I do against an opponent. Everyone tries to play like their opponents with like this like respect that they know as much information as you. You're not supposed to do that, right? You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to challenge their information skills by doing something and then pressing a button afterwards to see how they react to it. And that should tell you, right? That should tell you enough information on like how to like take advantage of that, right? And you want to take advantage. Like if I know somebody that does not know that my heavy / dolphin with Mei is plus, oh, I'm going to spam that, right? I'm going to spam that until they show me that they can get around it. You never stop to do something that works until your opponent shows you that. Like just because you're in a tournament or you're playing at celestial floor or like a high ranked floor doesn't mean that the opponent you're playing there is like the best, is so good, right? They could just happily just be there or wanting to be there, or they grind it out in like you know, lucky matches. But you want to test that knowledge until they can give you an understanding that, yeah, I know how to play this game, right? You know how many games that I don't play, but I just have fundamentals? Like literally, think about it. I have fundamentals. That means I will win the neutral. That does not mean me having fundamentals does not mean I have game knowledge. The easiest way to beat somebody that you know that has better fundamentals than you is you're going to have to win at the game knowledge scenario, right? And if you can win the game knowledge scenario, then the fundamentals go out the window, because then how am I supposed to win against that? And then when you have all this opponent knowledge of this information skills of like how your opponent can think and everything like that, this is actually where you can read someone and able to, this is what I call, you can able to tell the future of how the match eventually goes. You know how many times when I commentate a match and everyone in the chat or you guys in the chat will say, how did you know? Right? How did you know? It's because of the information gathering, playing against the opponent, knowing what pisses them off is the best way to understand how to actually read their defensive panic pressing attempt. So the more things that you do where you don't let your opponent play in the neutral situation, the higher the chance that your opponent is going to do something desperate, and you're able to like read that, because you can start to feel that like, okay, I could see that this person wants to do something really reckless to kind of change the tide of the match. And that's what I call telling the future and predicting when it comes to fighting games, right? So that's like the very importance of mind games. Another thing is, probably this is more for like kind of offensive players, is pressure, mix-ups, tight strings, frame traps, 50-50 situations, right? Adding stuff like this into your games is obviously kind of it's pretty much the last piece of the puzzle. And this is where obviously studying becomes involved. You just perfecting that with the execution. Like after doing a specific combo, you want to go for like a 50-50 mix up, you want to go for a frame trap, you want to go for tight strings. Those are things you just kind of like, it's the cherry on top where you want to add to your game. So obviously, like, you know, we talked about execution, neutral, and mind games. That's like the big piece of the puzzle. Pressure, when you come down to like offense, that's kind of like the cherry on top. It's definitely important because it increases obviously your chances of winning and not having to think about kind of like going back to neutral, going back to trying to gain information of mind games. You like, after you like win the specific neutral, the specific execution, the specific mind games, if you're able to continue your offense after that, it's more of like you're reading a script at that point, right? If you're able to command kind of like winning the mix-up war, like guessing right when it comes to offense all the freaking time, then you don't have to think about it, and it kind of saves a lot of mental stack on your side, because then you don't have to play something you're not comfortable with, right? Because eventually you're going to be playing somebody that might have better execution than you, that might have better neutral than you, that might have better mind games than you, but you can bypass that if your pressure for offense is very good. Now, what about pressure for defense? Pressure for defense is what I would say I specialize in, and what that entails is obviously anti-air in like 90% of situations. Anti-air in like situations where you can like 90% of the time, anti-air is like the most blocking thing that you can do for somebody. Because if you're winning the neutral war, obviously you know what they're gonna do. If you win the neutral war, if you're able to win the mind games, what's the one thing you're able to tell the future of? They're going to jump because they can't win the ground. So if they can't win in the ground, then they're going to jump and try to win from the air. So if you can always look for that anti-air, it is easy to stop them and get them even more pissed off and get them to jump in even more, because that's the only thing they can rely on. Because ultimately, if you anti-air somebody, 90% of the games, anti-airs don't do that much damage, right? It's kind of whatever. They're like, it's okay, because if I land one jump in, their thought process of people that don't have good neutral, if I land one jump in, then I can land my offensive pressure while my mix-ups and 50-50s and frame traps, and I win. So if you can focus on anti-air against those type of players, they get smoked. Another thing is holding your ground. We talked about like how in neutral, if you have somebody in the corner and you don't want to press a button because it's going to make it easier to whiff punish, how do you win out of that situation? This is more of like holding your ground. And what I mean about holding your ground is you don't panic press, right? You hold your ground, you block it out, because most games, right, depending on the game, obviously if they don't have a guard meter or anything like that, you use like more like safer resources to get out of those situations like that. So if you hold your ground to fight back, getting back into the middle of the ring, that is defensive pressure, because then it gives like kind of like doubt in your opponent's mind. It gives doubt in your opponent's mind that like, damn, like he just fought out of here, like, and now we're back to fighting at square one, right? So holding your ground is very important. And the number one thing that I am like, I would say an expert of is do not rush when you're losing. And what I mean about this is like, let's say you do not have the life lead and there's 70 seconds on the clock. You don't need to get your life lead back that fast. You know what I mean? A lot of times people are just so impatient when they just see their life bar. Oh my god, my life bar, it's so low compared to the other person. I need to make something happen. I need to make something happen right now. You have 70 seconds on the clock. it's not 70 seconds on the clock versus 10 seconds on the clock are they're like night and day. You have all the time in the world to make some type of comeback happen. When your opponent knows that they have this huge life lead going on, they know you're desperate to make something happen. They know you're desperate to try to even the life out or take the life lead back. So if you approach the rest of the match, even when you're losing, as like, like, okay, we're both even life, and you kind of like take your time with it, and like little hits, because the little hits eventually add up. And when the little hits eventually add up, that's actually where you actually win from there. I love the fact that I can just win a match even when I'm down on life, because I just take my time. Even if I have 50 seconds left, I take my time. 40 seconds left, take my time. 30 seconds left, take my time. The only time you have to really just kind of like make a decision, make a hard read, is if it's like 20 seconds or less, right? 20 seconds or less is definitely the crunch. That's definitely where it's like, well, the other person held their ground. I'm done. I gotta make a 50-50 situation happen, and then that's the gamble. But the most important part is if you do not rush when you're losing, guess what happens? You actually slowly push the stage control back into the middle and eventually into your favor, because your opponent is thinking, oh, they're going to rush. So because they're going to rush and they want the life lead so desperately, they're going to give up more of that space, because they're going to try to defensively win for the rest of the match, right? They're not going to push as hard compared to to the beginning of the game, because they want to try to take as less risk as possible at this point. It's pretty much a standard flowchart on how to win matches from one point of view, right? But if you counter that with like, you just take your time and just like take little hits here and there, eventually it's going to be the ball's going to be in your court, where they're not going to realize until it's too late. Why am I in the corner? Why am I in the corner? Why is this person not rushing like head first, face first, and fighting against me? He needs to make a comeback. No, he's not, right? So it's kind of like, this is where you want to take in consideration. And I would say the most important part, I mean, that's we pretty much talk about it, but we're gonna talk about the current reasons why people are nervous. I would say back in the day, for me, nerves was never a thing, but I think because of this era of like streaming and the amount of money, I think a lot of people get nervous, right? A lot of people get nervous, and I think nerves, because like I get so many comments, how do you get around the nerves? I have so many, like, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, is it because like you're going on stream and your friends and families are watching, or you're just like scared to play against like a huge audience? Nerves was not a thing back in the day as much compared to now. Everything is so nervous now, because everyone's like, bro, I'm playing on stream next against like this top player. I'm done. Automatically, you just lost, right? You automatically lost in your head, 100%. The match is completely over, because you're thinking about it. You're not thinking about your game plan. You're not thinking about how to win. You're not thinking about what should I do against this person. You're thinking about, my God, I'm playing on stream against Daigo. It's over. But the thing is, if you follow this game plan of of just kind of playing, of doing the mind games, this is where mind games actually overcome nerves, right? If you test your opponent knowledge and you gain information like this, all you gotta do is just try your best to gain information about how much does this player know that I'm playing against on stream? Because think of it like this: if you're fighting against like myself, if you're fighting against like Chris G, if you're fighting against like multi video game specialist experts, while this is your main game, you should know more. You should know more about the game than any multi gamer. Like they are jack of all trades, master of none. But you are the master of your game, right? You have more information about it. You know that you might not win the fundamental war, the neutral war. You might not win that, but you can win in this situation, right? This is how you beat nerves, in this way. If you gain information, if you gather information about what your opponent knows, you're gonna not be nervous anymore. You're gonna be less nervous, because you're able to form a solid game plan. You're gonna be able to form a solid game plan, because you know what you can take advantage of. And then eventually you just don't think about, oh bro, I'm playing on twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters, twitch.tv/Team Spooky, blah blah blah. That's when you're able to kind of like play your game a bit more, because you formulated a game plan based off the mind games, based off the information gathering of your opponent. Like I said, Do not show respect to your opponent until they can show you that they can be respected. And I'm not talking about what they have done, how many evos have they won, how many tournaments have they won. I'm talking about how much time they put in this game that you're playing in right now, right? You know how many times that I played somebody that is better than me in the game, but I just beat them because I just have better fundamentals than them. There was this one match, Street Fighter EX2 combo breaker. All I have been doing the whole tournament was low forward fireball, low forward super, low forward fireball, low forward. So I'm playing fundamentals. This guy had all the Excel custom combos. He knew the frame data. He knew how to attack. He knew how to defend. He knew everything about his character. But guess what? I won because of fundamentals. He got nervous. He broke down on his stream. If I see you do this on the mat while playing in the tournament match, I know I won. I know I won because I know that you can't collectively go back into that confident mindset because you're playing the wrong game with me. You're playing my game when you should be playing your game. So that's the factor on nerves. But yeah, I hope you. I mean, that was pretty much my talk. That was pretty much my how to get better at fighting games talk. I hope it's useful. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Hope you guys really all enjoyed it. We work really hard and we're just striving to push the best fighting game content that we can possibly put out. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you guys hit the like, share, subscribe, turn on the bells notification, and thank you once again for supporting, and make sure you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.